Hello and welcome back to Crimax. This week's episode is going to be our version of a Christmas special and our first celebrity death, inspired by my girlfriend's favorite Christmas movie, Jingle All the Way. That being said, I'm going to turn it over to her for the synopsis, and then she's going to turn it back over for our fun little fact before we get started.
Thank you so much. I do love Jingle All the Way, and this week's episode is on the death of Phil Hartman, who was in that movie. That's the first time I ever saw him before I watched like SNL and stuff growing up. So yeah, today we're talking about the life leading up to the death of Phil Hartman, as well as his wife Brynn, who plays a big part in this case. So tell us our fun fact before we get into it. I'm actually a little bit excited about this week's episode because I really like Phil Hartman. I think he's just was a funny guy. And it's really unfortunate what happened to him and no one talks about it.
I only know this movie because it is one of my favorite ones from when I was a child, only because I'm into Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And Sinbad.
Not in that way. You know, Sinbad, yes, but when I was a kid, I didn't really know him, so... But yes, it was a good movie between both of them.
Yeah, we watched it last night in preparation for this episode.
Yes, we did.
Because he didn't know who Phil Hartman was, and that's a sin.
Some would disagree, but okay.
So what's our fun fact?
So our fun fact, she wanted something cute this time, so I decided to go with a little bit of science and a little bit of cuteness, is, explaining a little bit of the genetics behind a calico cat.
Meow.
Yep. For those that don't know, the majority of the calico cats are all females.
I thought they were all female.
They are. It is very rare, but you can still get a male calico cat. So the reason this is if we remember back to some of our high school genetics, females have a XX chromosomes, males have a XY chromosome, right? So when we think about the colors, the coats of a female cat or a calico cat, we think of black, orange, or white, or maybe brown. Mostly it's the brown, the black, and the orange.
When I think of calico, I think of all the mixed colors. Exactly. And like short hair.
Exactly. But it goes a little bit deeper when you start getting into the genetics and such. We start looking at what these colors actually represent as towards a genetic standpoint. So orange, they would get from the X chromosome on the maternal side. So they would get the X chromosome from their mom. The black coat is represented by an X chromosome from their father, so on the paternal side. So a calico cat representing both black and orange coats are already rocking an XX chromosome, which means it's going to be a female. Right? Throwing brown in there just, adds on to it. Now, very rarely you can get a male cat through a genetic mutation that, you have a male rocking XXY chromosomes. So it is possible to have a male, but because of this genetic mutation, they're most likely going to be sterile. So...
Spay and neuter your cats anyways.
Yeah, generally, yeah.
That's weird.
It is, yeah.
I always thought they were all female, which is what I've heard.
No, they are. They are. But, well, not all of them. They are generally, but they can be some males. But yes, that's our fun, quote-unquote, cute fact for
I'm just so tired of ugly animals. Like, you did a spider last week, and I was like, ugh.
Heck yeah,
but I really love last week's episode on Heaven's Gate. I love cults.
Oh, well, trust me, I know. Oh, cultist.
No, I just think they're so interesting, the brainwashing and stuff. But yeah, you ready to get into today's case?
Oh yeah. Tell me about Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
Sounds like a television show host.
I mean, he was on a lot of TV.
No, I meant like a game show host. Phil Hartman.
Yeah, he didn't do that.
Like you have Steve Harvey.
He was on a game show though. He was on the match the match game. What's the dating game? That's what it's called.
Yeah. I don't watch those shows. Not my cup of tea.
Well, it's like the dating game where there's like a girl behind a thing and there's like three dudes you can't see them and they like do interviews and stuff to get it. Yeah. He actually won that, but the date stood him up after. I know.
Wow. That sucks.
But he won.
That sucks.
There's also a serial killer that was on the dating game as well, but that's for another episode. You ready to get into it?
Oh yeah, let's go.
So today we're talking about Phil Hartman. He was born in Brantford, Canada on September 24th, 1948. We're going to talk about his upbringing as well as his rise to stardom, his life up until his death in 1998. We're also going to talk about like what made him tick and about his wife as well, his third wife, because he got married 3 times. But I mean, good for you. You know, finding 3 people that want to spend forever with you, that's an accomplishment. I don't care what he says about having so many divorces, you know, unless you're Elizabeth Taylor getting married like 8 times. That's an issue. But today we're talking about Phil Hartman. He was the middle child of 8 kids. He was born in Canada, but when he started going to school, his family moved to California, LA specifically, where they had a lot of family there. And Phil was like a different blend of people. So he could fit in with any group. He could fit in with the nerds. He could fit in with the jocks. He could fit in with like anyone, because he had that kind of personality where he was very outgoing. He loved the outdoors, but he also had a really good artsy side to him, and he loved making people laugh, which, you know, made his career what it is, or what it was. Also, a random fact that I found out about, like, when he was going to high school, he actually went to the same high school as Squeaky Fromme. Do you know who Squeaky Fromme is?
No, not at all.
So she is, well, she still is, because she's still alive, but she is a very avid family member, like, loves Charles Manson from the Manson family, which was a cult in 1969. And she also tried to assassinate President Gerald Ford.
Nice.
Yeah, crazy person. And you know what? She's out of prison. She really shouldn't be free. She's crazy.
Aren't all women?
Yeah. Specifically in this story. So Phil was fitting with tons of groups growing up, and when he got out of high school, he decided to get a job with his brother. His brother was managing a band called the Rockin' Foo, so his brother John gave him a job as a roadie, and he got to meet tons of people and really get familiar with hippie culture and music. So he met people like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin, all kinds of people, and he liked the little hippie lifestyle and liked everyone doing their own thing and like not, you know, sticking into a box. So he started being a roadie for them. Eventually he got into graphic design and made a lot of iconic album covers. You know that song that goes, "The horse with no name, da 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 da, the rain"?
No.
You know that song? It's in Breaking Bad.
Oh.
The horse with no name, blips, feels good to get out of the rain or something.
Sure.
Okay, well, he made a lot of iconic album covers, including the one for that band that I forgot the name of.
I know Breaking Bad was good. That's about it.
Yeah, when he got pulled over, he was listening to that song when he got pulled over with his windshield being wrecked. It's fine. I remember that show way more than you do. But anyways, he did graphic design and did artwork for bands and stuff. And he started going to an improv comedy group in 1975 because he really felt like doing graphic design wasn't the best creative outlet because he wasn't being an extrovert like he wanted to be. So they said that Phil fell in love easily during this time, or like all of his life really, but this is the first time he started like getting married. He got married twice during his early years. And they said that he had, this is actually of people I've met a lot like this, who said they can't stay in love for a long time. So like they would hitch onto something really quickly and then they would like deteriorate the relationship afterwards. Have you ever met people like that? Because I know a lot of people like that.
Oh yeah. Welcome to America.
I know, but people like, they fall in love with someone and then all of a sudden they have no feelings for them once they land them. And I never understood that, but people, I mean, I've had it done to me a lot.
It's a thing.
It's definitely a thing, but he was one of those people. So they also said that other than the fact that he couldn't like stay in love with anything because he lost interest and found other things that preoccupied his time more, he also had like a low sex drive apparently, because he would always be interested in doing something else than like staying in the relationship and having sex apparently. But he would also get lost in whatever character he was portraying or trying to impersonate, because he did a lot of impersonations. Most famously, he was like the most famous ever Bill Clinton impersonator, especially during like the scandal in the 90s and stuff. But they would say he would get lost in his character. He never really had his own personality to show, which I also know a lot of people like that. But Phil's first role on TV after joining the improv group and getting a couple jobs was he had a starring role as Captain Carl on Pee Wee Herman. You've seen that show, I presume.
I wish I could unsee it.
It's weird, right?
It is.
They always said it's like children comedy, but it had like little things for adults in there. Yeah. It's not for me.
Yeah.
You know?
Because that's with anything. I mean, I grew up in the 90s watching a whole bunch of cartoons like Tom and Jerry, Courage the Cowardly Dog even.
Ooh, Courage.
Bunch of these 90s cartoons. Now that I rewatch, I'm like, well, this is sexual.
And wrong.
And you just pick up on a bunch of things.
Yeah, for sure. Everything has it,
that
you know?
Kids would never pick up on.
I feel like
adults do.
But is it a subliminal message, though? Because that's what some people say.
Yeah,
I don't know. Oh, also, I've heard Pee Wee is like a perv. I don't know if that's actually true or not. Is it?
Yeah, he did jail time for. Yeah, he was a perv.
Oh, I was gonna say that I really enjoyed his role on Gotham. The guy who plays Pee Wee was on Gotham as like Penguin's dad, and I really thought he was good at it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he did jail time for
Kid stuff?
Yeah.
Ugh. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, that was before. I mean, he did all this Pee Wee gross stuff after. But Phil's first role was Captain Carl on Pee Wee's house. Pee Wee's house? Pee Wee's Herman's house?
Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Pee Wee's Playhouse. Okay, cool.
I feel bad for knowing that.
Well, I mean, it's a common thing people talk about. He got a lot of roles on movies and TV. He did a lot of commercials to pay the bills. And by the time he had finished like doing all this and got his first landing job, he was already on his second divorce. Also, his second wife, that she's interviewed a lot talking about Phil, she was hot. Like straight up, his second wife, Lisa, you want to Google it, like she was hot. I think her name is Lisa Hartman Black. Like, she had the cutest little 60s makeup, little eyes, little bangs that came down to like a triangle in the front. She was so cute. I mean, she's still cute now, but like back in the day when they were getting married, I watched her wedding tape. She was so cute. But
damn.
Yeah, did you Google it? She's cute. She's cute. So after he got divorced the second time because he just couldn't keep an interest in anything, he also decided to work instead of like staying at home a lot, which I feel like a lot of people do just because you're trying to make it, you know, in the entertainment industry. You're trying to make it. You're trying to get the most jobs you can to pay the bills. That's when he met his third wife, or his soon-to-be third wife, Brynn Omdahl. She was a tall, beautiful blonde woman, and she had like this model face. She had like a very European model kind of look to her. People said that a lot about her. But Brynn came to Hollywood trying to make it as an actress, which I feel like everyone did. But she was a bit of a party girl. When she met Phil, she was actually going to rehab for cocaine use. Since she had partied a lot, she did a lot of cocaine. And Phil looked past all the rehab and everything and decided like, hey, I want a pretty girl on my shoulder. And she wanted someone to help her career. So he got arm candy, which he wanted. And she was also 10 years younger, so it looked great next to him. And she wanted someone who could help boost her career. And he was getting a lot of jobs around this time when they met. So in 1986, Phil lands his biggest job, which would propel his career into way more than you would ever expect. And this was SNL. You can actually watch his audition tape for SNL on YouTube, and it's very funny.
What is SNL?
Saturday Night Live.
Oh, got it.
Where everyone got their start. Like,
I know that.
Even Eddie Murphy got a start on SNL. Everyone did.
Yep.
Chevy Chase got a start on SNL. So did John Belushi. So, yeah. There's a lot of big names that like started on this show, and Phil was one of them. So he could play any character he put in front of him, which made him great for SNL. He was also the most famous for, again, like I said, Bill Clinton. He also did other presidents like Reagan. He also got a lot of jobs for The Simpsons doing voiceovers at this time. So he was working at SNL and The Simpsons. That's a great like resume to have.
Simpsons.
He did Yeah, they are. He did the characters. The most famous one that I recognize is Troy McClure, which was like the TV, like, hey, I'm TV's Troy McClure. He did that guy. I thought it was great. And after Phil died and everything, they retired all those characters. So in 1989, Phil and Brynn were married. They had a son named Sean, and this is the first time Brynn's violence came out. This was just the first time her violence came out, other than like them having regular fights and her having this problem with cocaine and substances. But Phil told his second wife that he just became a dad, read her letter, and she replied with a card saying like, congratulations, you ever need a babysitter, I'm here for you, like, I'm so happy for you too. And Brynn wrote a letter back that was over 2 pages long, full of death threats, saying if you ever come near me, you ever talk to Phil, blah, 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 I'll kill you. And then when Lisa reached out to Phil and was like, hey, this was excessive, I was just congratulating you, Phil said that you should have seen the letter that she wanted to send. So 2 pages seems like a lot for someone to send you a congratulations letter, and then what you wanted to send was probably like 5 pages long.
Does this mean that he knew he was sending something to her?
Yeah, he definitely knew. He's like, you should have seen what she wanted to send. That was the refined version.
And still let her send?
You can't, I mean, you know crazy women, if you don't let them send something to your ex-wife, it's going to be a problem.
I wouldn't, no.
You know?
I wouldn't let you do that.
Oh, baby.
No.
I don't have a reason to.
No, but still.
No, no. Especially if someone just like, congratulations on you two having a kid. Like, why would someone send a death threat for that? It's weird. But, I mean, crazy is crazy at the same time. So they weren't actually like living together too much at this time because she was in New York trying to get fashion gigs and he was in LA doing SNL and doing like voiceovers and acting jobs and movies. So they didn't actually spend a lot of time together, which made him not know that she was crazy beforehand. Honestly, like they weren't living together too much, so she didn't know, or he didn't know what she was capable of, I guess. Which is probably a bad sign. But this was like when he was like really raising to stardom. He was starting to do the Bill Clinton impersonations on SNL. He was such a star this time that he got paid $1.2 million for a commercial for McDonald's. And that's insane money. Insane money, especially in the 90s. I don't know how much that is now, but like 1.2 million is still a lot of money now.
Oh yeah.
For a commercial. So to get away from home where he was really unhappy, he was buying a lot of planes and boats to get out of the house because she would start a fight every day. So in 1992, they had a daughter named Bergen, and she was at the 40th anniversary of SNL, and she is absolutely beautiful. Like this like year or two ago, stunning, right? Isn't she so hot? I mean, she's an adult now, so I feel like it's okay to say, but she's beautiful. But this is around the time when Bergen was born that things got worse between Brynn and Phil. They would fight every single night, especially before he went on to SNL or a voiceover job. She was actually doing cocaine, offering it to other cast members and stuff in the SNL bathroom. And sometimes before Phil to go to makeup for whatever character he was doing, she would yell at him and fight at him so bad and physically abuse him that he would go in trembling, white as a ghost. And then Phil would come into the makeup room, not be able to say anything except like, I think I've really done it this time, in like his most comedic voice he could. Because again, he didn't really have too much of a personality to show on his own. He always put on a character. So he put on his comedy voice and was like, think I did it now. But she would like intimidate him and fight him every single day. And honestly, I feel like a lot of people saw this and like her resentment towards Phil is because he was like doing so well in his career. He was skyrocketing and she couldn't get a job acting or modeling anymore. So she took that out on him. Now you are a normal person dating like kind of an entertaining person.
Sure.
It's not an issue, right?
No.
Okay. It's not an issue. However, as someone who does have an unconventional job, technically to entertain people because I am a YouTuber, I've worked out a schedule over the past year or so to give myself like the weekends off, to give myself time off. But most people don't have that mentality when you have like you have to work for yourself or you don't get paid kind of job. So I've found it very difficult to find whether I wanted to date someone normal or date someone with the same mindset of hustling all the time like myself before I gave myself these days off because I used to never take a day off. So before I started dating you, I was seeing someone else who did entertaining stuff for a couple months and stuff. We always had this conversation that like, should people like us date people or just like never, I always had the mindset I always want a relationship, I need the stability. And they would always say that like, no, don't date anyone. No one's ever going to understand that their job is going to come before the other person, like the person you're in a relationship with. And I totally get both sides of that. Because like when you work for yourself, you have to work all the freaking time unless you are having the luxury of having your own schedule. But sometimes there's deadlines for like, I have a video I have to do. There's some deadline for this and that. And a lot of people won't understand that. And if I've also had the understanding that a lot of people never understand what I do all day. So like when I'm dating someone, they're like, oh, what'd you do all day? Sit on your ass? And like, no, I had a lot of stuff to do at home. But yeah, so I get dating people or being married to someone in the same entertaining space, you would get jealousy. But you both had to be on the same page about how much work is okay, if that makes sense.
And then 2020 COVID hit, and now everybody's working from home.
Yeah, it's for sure. But like there's always that mentality of like, if you date someone who is also in the same entertaining, unconventional job, what's going to come first, the job or the person,
Yeah.
So it's weird, but I definitely get where she's coming from with like being jealous. But she should have been on the same page when they got married about this is what is happening.
Yeah.
Job-wise.
Oh, show.
So Phil was getting more attention career-wise than Brynn, and she was taking it out on him. He tried to do anything he could to get her more gigs and get her career going. He would pass off her screenplay, which he said wasn't actually that good, but he was trying to be helpful to his wife, pass off to other directors and people in the industry and say, like, can you just take a look at this, see what you think, maybe help her out. He even took Brynn on the Howard Stern show, which I watched yesterday, like those Howard Stern show clips. You know who he is?
I've heard the name and I probably have seen it, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Really curly haired guy, always wore sunglasses and stuff. He had like a radio show and like a talk show and stuff for a long time.
Well, I've heard the name before.
Yeah, Howard Stern, radio host guy. So he took her on the Howard Stern show, and it was really awkward to like, here's your wife, even though I didn't want to talk to her. And then he kissed her on the mouth, like asking Phil, like, is it okay if I like kiss your wife hello after they've been sitting there for 5 minutes, like talking about how hot she was? I hope if I ever took you somewhere and we went somewhere for an interview, you would never just let some random man kiss me.
No.
Thank you. Because that's weird. Phil was like, I love you both. Yeah, it's fine. But I don't want to look at it. I'm like, if you don't want to look at it, don't let your wife do this on TV. It's weird. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So Brynn was really uncontrollable, not getting her career together, really intimidating him, being physically abusive to him. She'd also relapsed on cocaine again and taken antidepressants with alcohol. After a short stint in rehab, which only lasted a couple days, she just checked herself out for a couple days, being like, I'm cured, which I feel like everyone does, you know?
You're not cured.
No, after a couple days, you're not going to be cured from that. People said that Phil had threatened to leave Brynn if she did not actually quit these bad habits like antidepressants with alcohol and the cocaine and different substances, party substances. But a lot of people said that Brynn was also physically abusive to him and he was scared of her. She also owned a gun that she said was for personal protection, but she was the abusive one, so why would she need the protection?
To completely kick a habit, I believe it actually takes 28 days. People have done a study on it and everything. I believe it's 28 days to change a habit.
That's actually true. I changed my sneeze. I know that sounds weird, but I used to sneeze like, achoo! And then people made fun of me a lot, so I forced myself to change my sneeze, and it took a month.
For the record, I'm staring at her very weirdly. But yeah, okay, sure. But yeah, I believe it was found that exactly at least 28 days to change a habit and to form a new habit.
Does that include like cigarettes? Because people always struggle with that one too. If you can go a month without
cigarettes, yeah. It just depends. At that point, it can also depend on genetic factors because sometimes they have different genetics that cause different chemical triggers. So like when it comes to alcohol and cigarettes and things like that, it can actually change how your brain chemistry works, like how your hormones and everything like that, to where it triggers the effect that you feel like you need to have it in order to survive. And something like that might take a little bit longer and things like that. But generally, once it leaves your system, I would say at that point you start counting and then figuring out different ways to change the habits and stuff like that.
Have you ever been addicted to anything?
No, not really.
Yeah, you've had a pretty clean-cut life, huh?
No, not really.
Yes, you have. Don't even lie to me. We talked about problems we had. You had none.
I've got all sorts of problems.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, I've never been addicted to anything either. I've taken things. People are like, don't do this. You can get addicted to it. But, you know, I don't listen to people.
She's addicted to sex.
Are you really calling me out on the podcast right now? Are you really doing this to me?
You're gonna cut it
You know what? No, you know what? It's fine. But you know why? Because people neglected me. I was repressed as a child, never got to experience anything in life. And then when I was able to experience things, I knew what I wanted. So thanks for calling me out, but that's fine.
I still love you.
Thank you. You make me sound like a problem, but no, I don't have any. I've never been addicted to like a substance or anything I had to kick, you know? Other than caffeine, and I'll never give it up. Caffeine is like the worst addiction ever, and I will never give it up.
Whatever.
So back to the story. Basically, Brynn was very abusive. This went on forever. He would go to bed sometimes pretending to be asleep so that she would not fight with him every single night. He would spend nights away from home, like sleeping on the boat or in his car or even in like the passenger seat of his plane, just to not be near Brynn, because she would pick a fight every single night about why he was not doing enough for her, why she was at home and he was working all the time, why he worked this is one thing I hate though, like why he was working all the time is why she would always fight with him. Don't you want your bills paid for you? Don't you signed up for someone in the entertainment industry? You need to know that hours are not 9 to 5, you know? Like, don't you, like, if you came home late one day, I'm not gonna care. Unless it was suspicious, but I'm not gonna care.
Yeah, but that's why I chose my job, is because for the most part my job will be 9 to 5, and I make decent money.
Do you like the stability of it? Because I like the fact that I work and I make money, or I don't and I'm screwed. I like this depending on myself.
Oh, I love the stability of it. Before this job, I was working overnight in a factory, and then supposedly we were supposed to work like every other weekend, but we never knew what weekend. Sometimes weekends might get canceled, so sometimes we might have a weekend. Sometimes by demand we might not have our weekend. So, and supposedly they were supposed to let us know by like the middle of the week whether or not we'd be working that weekend, but sometimes we didn't find out till the last second, and I couldn't stand that, because I'm like, I can't plan my weekend because I don't know if I'm gonna have a weekend. So I'm like, I can't take it. I want a regular 9 to 5 job, so that way I can have, I can get off work and it's still daylight and I have the rest of my day and I have weekends off.
I get that. I get the stability seems nice, and honestly, knowing what your paycheck is going to be every month sounds beyond amazing. But I like I guess the creativity. If I can do whatever I want that day, I can make whatever I want that day. And depending on myself, my income makes me feel like I'm doing something. However, I totally get that. And I think that's why, like, as I was saying, like, two people in the entertainment industry would never work, or it would work to be on the same page, I guess. Is like, I don't know. I guess I need stability in some aspect, which is why I'm always in a relationship. I need the stability of it, because my whole financial and work life, 90% of the day, is not stable. So I need stability in some way. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure.
You get all stability all the time. How's that feel? No unpredictability with you?
No, there's unpredictability.
What if there's traffic that day?
Yeah. No, it's just what I have to deal with work.
Yeah, I get that. Other people being involved sucks.
Eventually it'll become routine, but right now it's just all...
Well, that's because this year in general is just a mess. But I met you. Yeah. Okay, now down to the bad stuff. We get Brynn sucks, right? Terrible. I mean, I know you can't be helping addiction. Addiction sucks and stuff, and you can't help that if you have that, and honestly, it's something people should work on together and get through. But I don't think Brynn was a nice person. Jealousy sucks, I'm sorry.
Of course she wasn't nice.
I know.
She was a bitch.
Yeah. I'm not blaming her substance problems, because again, addiction is addiction, but like, in general, she just seems like not a great human being. Yeah. So anyways, down to the bad stuff now. On May 28th, 1998 at 6:20 a.m. in Encino, California, the police arrived to the Hartman house to find Bergen, the daughter, distraught by the front door, and they heard a gunshot coming from the master bedroom, where they found Phil Hartman dead. He had been dead for a while, and Brynn had just killed herself when they arrived. She had a gunshot wound to the head, and Phil had 3 gunshot wounds. He was laying in bed. So Brynn had killed herself in the master bedroom. Phil was dead on the bed with 3 gunshot wounds. We don't know if Phil was actually asleep because, he was in bed, or if he had just gone to bed pretending to be asleep to avoid another fight with Brynn, which is possible. So it's clear that Brynn killed Phil, and she left the kids in the house, which sucks. I don't know how Bergen got out the front door crying and stuff, if maybe Brynn had pushed her out the front door after killing her dad a couple hours earlier, which is just weird. But anyways, the night beforehand, Brynn had dinner with a friend named Christine, and after they had dinner, she wanted to keep partying and keep drinking like she had with dinner, but her friend wanted to go home. So instead of going home, Brynn continued to go drinking at another friend's house named Ron. They also did cocaine then at his house. Brynn went home, started a fight with Phil, and Phil went to the bedroom to stop fighting with her. We don't know if he was asleep at that time, but she was drunk and high. She ended up shooting him 3 times, and then she went back to her friend Ron's house she had just left and done cocaine with. She had actually told Ron, like, hey, I killed Phil, blah, 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 blah. Ron didn't believe her, and so that she took Ron back to the house, and he saw Phil dead, freaked out, grabbed Sean, the son, didn't actually grab Bergen because he didn't know where she was. He just grabbed the first kid he saw and ran, and called the police to the house. Brynn at the time had made some phone calls to her friends, and her sister asked the sister to take good care of the kids for her, and then she took another gun. Ron had taken the gun used to kill Phil. Brynn had another gun and shot herself in the head when the police arrived. She had Zoloft, cocaine, as well as alcohol in her system with a blood alcohol level of 0.12%.
Poor Phil.
I know.
I mean, nobody cares about Brynn, but poor Phil.
Well, I feel bad for the kids. I mean, of course I feel bad for Phil. He seemed like he loved being a comedian and being an actor. He always seemed like the most jolly, cheerful guy, even though you did not like his character in Jingle All the Way. But
that was by design.
I know, it was like the overly happy neighbor that you're not supposed to like. I got that. But
Trying
like,
to hit on your wife.
trying to hit on your
Not
wife.
trying, actually doing it.
Yeah, that's true. Making moves. And like all of his SNL characters were so funny. He even had like original characters like this caveman guy no one had ever done before. Like he did Clinton, he did every single character. He always made it so entertaining, and they said that he was like the glue that held the show together in like the 80s and early 90s. Also on his last episode of SNL, it's actually really weird, but on his last episode, it zoomed out to the end of the season with him hugging Chris Farley.
Hey, Tommy boy.
I know. Oh my gosh.
Farley.
No one really was surprised at Chris Farley's death as much as Phil Hartman, of course. Totally two different characters. But the last episode of SNL that he was in, it zoomed in on them, on just like them saying goodbye. Little do they know both of them would be dead very shortly after that episode. Really weird, but it's a kind of iconic. And like Chris Farley was like so funny. So funny.
Good.
Yeah. There's like our favorite Mexican restaurant in town actually has like a big Chris Farley as the Day of the Dead painting on the wall. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Not the greatest of food, though, but good art.
Oh, they have good queso though.
Yeah.
We just don't like tequila.
No.
Tequila tastes like pain and
No,
regret.
it doesn't taste like pain.
It sucks.
Yeah.
I'd rather drink whiskey than tequila. I know. Not straight, but mixed.
I'm a rum guy.
Yeah, rum's good. I like vodka.
We need to finish that Jello.
Yeah, we have rum jello in the fridge. It's just been sitting there
A lot of rum Jello.
instead of water. But no, what do you think about Brynn killing Phil? You think it was just jealousy, or you think she was crazy, or you think it's because she was drunk and high?
Oh, definitely drunk and high.
You think that's why she did it? You
Drunk, high, and...
I think she
they
finally
almost fight.
cracked.
No, yeah, for sure.
Like, if you're a violent person, that, you know.
Yeah, drunk, high, and she's violent. And of course, you know, what was the last person she had issues with? Her husband.
He doesn't seem like an issue. I mean, I get that he would want
Well,
to...
they were arguing. That's what I'm saying. The last person
Yeah.
she argued with was him.
I feel like he had the issues, too, of, like, not actively staying in relationships. Stuff is an issue, personality-wise, but she just seems so jealous.
Yeah. I think it was also just a combination that, you know, his habit of going into the bedroom and pretending to be asleep to avoid the fight rather than dealing with the fight. But at that point, I mean, you're dealing with a crazy person and you're fighting all the time. I'm like, you know, at some point you just don't want to deal with it anymore, so you kind of like put it off. Well, I mean, to the other person, yeah, that would piss the other person off even more. So
Totally.
she's already pissed off. She goes over, starts drinking, starts doing drugs, completely screwing with her
Mental state?
mental state and things like that. And next thing she knows, she's killing her husband because that's the last person she was mad at.
Yeah, I get that, too. If someone walks away or like, leaves the house when I'm fighting with them, oh, I'll go off the rails.
And
Deal
then-
with this conversation.
And then she starts coming down off of it and then ends up deciding to kill herself.
Yeah, I mean, or she had more drugs on her, you know. But yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, she had a lot of problems. He should have seen it. But again, people
yeah.
like Phil fall in love really easily, but they can't stay in love, you know? And I don't understand that. I like the stability.
I would have elected to Phil to find somebody else.
I would have liked to Phil to just date around and not actually get married. For people who can't stay in relationships, who don't keep that kind of compassion, just date around.
Well, I mean, so he seemed like a person that, like, he doesn't strike me as someone who can stay, who can't stay in a relationship, because obviously he can, because he chose probably the worst person or the best person to really test that, and he still stayed with her out of, like, honestly,
Because he was scared.
exactly, that's whatever. Just take that, you know, little death note and all of her issues and everything, and then at that point you can actually have her committed to where she can't check out.
That doesn't always work. You know? I've been abused a lot. And I will tell you right now, it is not as like simple as like just go get a restraining order. It is not that simple.
Back then it kind of was.
I know, because you never know what the other person's gonna do react.
Yeah, but she was, obviously she has drug problems, mental problems. That's clear. Now with the fact that she's death threatening people, they would have at least held her for.
But that's his wife. You can't just like have your wife committed. I mean, I guess you can, right? You can. Yeah, I get that. But like, if you're the person getting abused, it's not as easy as just like get rid of them. It's definitely not that easy. Yeah, but you're also like emotionally crippling these people, like telling him that he's not shit and like
too, but that
you're gonna ruin this, you're gonna blow this for yourself.
Yeah, but at that point, you're an adult. You should have the mental capacity to know.
I mean, he had the mental capacity to keep doing that show every night after like having someone berate you before you go out.
He should have known his worth.
Definitely. So Phil's body was cremated. His ashes were scattered in Catalina Bay, which he absolutely loved, and had tons of home videos talking about how much he loved the area and loved riding boats there. And Sean and Bergen grew up with Brynn's sister. So
that's scattered her ashes in the manure field.
His ashes. I don't know what happened to hers.
Oh, his ashes?
Yeah. He liked the boats, especially getting away from her, and he loved the outdoors and stuff. So they did Catalina Bay.
Nice.
He should have named his daughter Catalina instead of Bergen.
Would have been a nice name.
Isn't that pretty?
Oh yeah.
That's super cute. But Bergen, not as much pretty, but she's gorgeous. But
oh my God, yes.
Yeah, but anyways, that's the story of Phil Hartman.
You.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But she's hot.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
But yeah, that's the story of Phil Hartman. What do you think? Sucks.
It's a sad one.
Yeah, it sucks.
You feel you miss him and you feel angry at the wife. No care in the world what happened to her. Nobody cares what happened to her.
Nope, don't feel bad for her at all.
Nope.
I feel bad for the kids.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Phil and Phil's family and all that, and especially like his friends and his career that he built so high up just to be smashed away.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, I do kind of like covering cases like Heaven's Gate and this one, because you can actually see the people and what they were like. I like that a lot better than like cases where I don't know anything about the people.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen any home videos of Maura Murray. That's what I want to see, So yeah, thank you for joining me for another episode.
Thank you for joining us for another episode. And we hope you have a great Christmas. Until next time.
Okay, bye.